Live from the relatively new JOYRIDER TV studios on the Greek island of Lefkos. And yes, that's right. If you're tuned in either live or if you're watching this later on, yes, that's right. We are looking at a full power question and answer session. You bring the questions and I'll do my best to come forward with some appropriate answers. And yes, that's right. If you've been staying tuned to JOYRIDER TV this week, you will have seen that there has been the grand unveiling of the new Hobie 16 fleet on the Wildwind Beach. Oh, yes, these bad boys look so quick. I am feeling some big speeds are on the cards this summer in Vasiliki Bay. So look forward to that very much. Those boats are looking sharp. And the video that I put out a few days ago, just of the unboxing, has raised quite a few questions, which we will be looking into very shortly after I've checked in with everybody who's checking in the live chat right now. So we got Mark and Janet on board from Grand Lake, St. Mary's, Ohio. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick Day. St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, to be sure. Yes, big day for everybody who likes the dark brown stuff. We got Cuxolly on board from Northern Germany. Welcome on board. Fawn G is with us in Central Germany, looking forward to the knowledge trip this evening. Oh, yes, me too. Very much so. Alessandro is on board as well. He's dancing. Good to have you with us. Lau is with us as well, coming in from Cape Town, South Africa. Oh, yeah, from the mother city. Great to have you on board. I do have many fond memories of my time in Cape Town and many of the fond memories that I can't remember anymore due to them being too fond. Jan Leo is on board as well. Of course, Jan Leo, the our roving reporter from last year's Tornado World Championships. Jan Leo says the world is awaiting you. We're talking about the Tornado World Championships this year, which are going to be going on Lake Como, Italy, where the wind is going to be sweet, the competition is going to be fresh, and everybody is going to be there. Jan Leo says, any tips on sourcing sponsors? I feel like I need a fresh set of sales to beat you at the World Championships. Yeah. To be honest, if I knew about sourcing sponsors for such an event, I would be sourcing some sponsors myself. But yeah, to be honest, I really am not an expert in that field, and I think I should have been trying harder over the years. But I would say just put out to as many people as possible. Here we go. Looking for sponsors. Think, what can you offer people? Who are the people or the organizations that you can offer something to by putting their name on your boat? Perhaps it's local businesses near to the event at Lake Como. Perhaps it's local businesses to where you are going to be doing your training. Perhaps they want to see their billboards sailing around near where their business is. So people will say, actually, that's a good idea. I'll go there. So I think perhaps looking at what you can offer people and then put a package together and then take it to them. find out who is in charge of something just fell over. Ooh. Find out who's in charge of marketing at the firm that you're going to approach, that kind of thing. But to be honest, I'm in the dark a little bit on that myself, and it really is a bit hit and miss. I think I've got quite a good sort of shop window now personally, that I've got this relatively successful YouTube thing going on, and but still it's very difficult to get people to hand you anything over. There we go. That is what I think, Jan Leo, anyway. But I look forward to seeing you there and finally meeting you and seeing your very fast red tornado. I'm hoping that you've got the new mast on there now. So I'm just checking out my organization here. I think that's what fell over. Okay. Also, we've got tuned in Section 11 Outdoors in Michigan, USA. Still snow on the ground over there. Can't wait for sailing weather. Yeah, we're looking dangerously close over here in Greece. In fact, so close. I think it could have been, if we didn't have so much to do on the Wildwind Beach, there would have been some action on the water already. All right, we've got Mark on board in Northern Ontario, Canada. I would guess quite a way off the sailing season starting there as of yet. I would think it's rather chilly. All right, we've got Chris with us, probably on some sort of boat in the Gulf of Mexico, Galveston Bay, Texas. Great to have you with us, Chris, as always. All right, we've got Benedetto from Toscana. I don't know where that is, but it sounds very nice. All right, Aaron's tuned in from New Zealand. Hope you enjoyed the new starting time of the Q&A, Aaron. I dare say for you guys down in that neck of the woods, this is working out much better than having to be up at 5 in the morning or something to catch it. Oh, we got Dave on board. Hobie 16 Amateur Hour. My brother from some other mother can't sail a new world's, can't wait, I should think you mean, to sail a new world's boat. Yeah. So we have got with these new Hobie 16s that we've got on the beach, we have got some more videos. I say we, I mean I have got some more videos in the pipeline, but just finding the time to edit them is tricky at the moment. So the videos we've got coming up, I've redone again the how to build a Hobie 16 video, just one in fact, but the previous ones were all done kind of in real time, which meant if all you wanted to know was how to do it, you kind of had to sit through quite a long video to get to the point. Whereas this time we're just getting to the point. This is how it's done. This is what you do. We're cutting out the waffle. That's what we're doing. Also, same topic, 2 videos in one I've done. One is how long should it take when you know what you're doing to put a Hobie 16 together from a pile of bits to a boat. That's very nice. From the same sort of format, I'm also doing, here's a Hobie 16. What is the sequence of putting the boat together? There's a bit of a theme here. I've been putting boats together this week and I thought I'd make the most of it. Yeah, so that is the ones that I've filmed already. Then we're also going to look at what are the differences between the new Hobie 16, which has been labeled the new global standard. I'm calling it the NGS, which means that any new Hobie 16s, regardless of where you are on the planet, are going to be exactly the same. So whether you're in the USA, in Australia, in Brazil, in South Africa, anywhere at all, in Germany, you'll be getting a boat which is exactly the same. So we're going to be looking at those features on the boats and what are the differences between the last edition of the 16, which we've been using previously here. All right, Philip's on board. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody in Ireland and everybody else. All right, we got Roger on board. Sorry, I'm late. It's all right. This is fine. Already gone. Have we already gone over how fast the new Hobie 16 from the Worlds is? No, we will know, I'd say, in the next 5 weeks how fast they feel, potentially. We've got George on board from Thessaloniki. Great to have you with us, George. Thanks for tuning in. Might be coming to Thessaloniki on Monday, in fact, incidentally. See you there. All right, Chris says there is still time. Now, this is serious. Are you in the USA? Have you got a boat? Do you want to get involved in one of the first events on the calendar of the year? Then you need to get to, see if I can pronounce it correctly, the Ides of March regatta in Somerville, Texas, coming up very soon. So might even be next weekend. Is that correct, Chris? Put it in the live chat if you could. Yeah, the Ides of March, I think next weekend in Texas. If you haven't got a boat, get to the event anyway, get involved. Let's make it the best possible event that it can be. All right, Marcus is on board. Hello, Marcus, GER2, one of the strong members of the Tornado fleet. Be seeing you Lake Como in August. Very much looking forward to that. All right, so Hobie 16 Amateur Hour says, need a close-up of the circle in the shirt. What are the words in the circle? Oh, my word. I can't actually get any closer. I've got kind of a table here. But I can see cooking the goose. We are certainly cooking the goose here today. All right, Chris in Texas says, I've done the sponsor thing. The trick is to sell them something they can use. So useful advertising. So really, when looking for sponsors, really look at what it is that you could offer someone, and what firms, what companies that might be attractive to. All right. So Mark is on board mid-May for us. All right, I'm guessing that's, you mean when you're back out on the water. Miles is on board as well. Literally getting a Hobie tomorrow from South Africa. Great news. I think Miles is having a more exciting time than most this weekend, getting a Hobie 16. What a great weekend. I hope there's still, I'm sure there are. I dare say in South Africa, you guys are sailing through the whole winter. All right, so I'm just going to, right, we've got Eric on board, Melbourne, Florida. Thanks for the later start time. Yeah, I'm glad that works. It's not as ideal for me, but, you know, I'm here for you guys. So I'm going to do what is necessary to get as many of you guys as possible involved in this live session. We've got Dopey Dave with us. Thanks for all the videos. You're very welcome. And at this point, I'm just going to head over to the first preloaded questions that are on the topic of these X World Championships Hobie 16s. So the first one is, well, we've got Tyler and Marco who specifically asked the questions. So Tyler says, how does one go about getting hold of an X World Championships boat? Is there a discount that you get by getting an X World Championships boat? And the second question, which is very much related, from Marco is, I always wondered how it's possible that people get a brand new boat only to use it for a week and then give it away. So here's how it works. At a Hobiecat World Championships, there are generally 60, I think it's 60 boats available for, all right, I'm pretty there's 60 boats available, and in your entry fee, the entry fee is pretty high. It's usually over €1,000, but in the entry fee, as well as your normal entry fee, you get a boat to use for the event. The boat is supplied by, it would have previously been supplied by whichever Hobiecat factory is supplying that area in the world. So in Spain, it would have been Hobiecat Europe who made these boats. But now we're global. It will be Starting Line Sailing who are supplying the boats to the event. So the competitors who are going to be in, because there's generally a maximum amount of 120 boats at a Hobie World Championships. That would be split into two fleets, Gold Fleet and Silver Fleet. So I think Silver Fleet would have to bring their own boat, and Gold Fleet would be entitled to charter a boat as part of their entry fee. So that is why these people are getting a brand new boat and only using it for the event and then giving it back afterwards. I'm pretty sure that is the format at the World Championships. So that is why people are giving the boats back. Now, what that means is that region or country has just had an injection of, let's say, 60 almost brand new but used Hobie 16s, which are then there to be sold on to the public or to sailing schools or to anybody who wants to buy one. And yes, that means that you do get the boat at a discounted rate. I believe the discounted rate would be something like 20% off normal retail. So in the USA, where the retail price of a Hobie 16 is $14,000, I think it would be just a bit under 12,000 would be the price for one of these boats after it's only been used for a week or so. And not only that, but by it being used for a week, you are quite, although you miss out on the experience of having an absolutely brand new boat where everything is in its own little packet. When you get the boat, it's already been worn in. If you've ever had a brand new boat, or if you've ever put brand new ropes on your boat, what you'll find is everything is really slippery when it's brand new. So by having a boat which has already been used for a week or for 10 days, that means they're not slippery anymore. So you've got a boat which is really in the sweet spot, not brand new, but no longer slippery, and you're getting it for 20% less. Now, how can you get one of these boats? You need to find out. One of the boats from the World Championships in Spain, I would dare say most of them got taken by the dealers around Europe. I know that Andy Dinsdale, who I think he's in France, he's got quite a few of the boats and they're for sale. How you get in touch with him, I don't know. He just mentioned it to me on Instagram that he's got several of these boats up for grabs. So I did ask him to send me an email to let me know. But check for one of the Spanish World's boats, if you're in Europe, get in touch with the dealer from your country if you're in Europe, and say, have you got any world's boats available to sell? And maybe you get lucky. There we go. Yeah, they certainly do look very nice. Can't wait to get out on one. Very good. All right. So Dopey Dave says, could I use nylock steel bolts or must it be nylon? That is a very good question. Now, I am guessing, oh yeah, there we go, to fasten the trampoline to the hulls, which I think you mean to put the castings on to the pylons. So here we go. Can I draw a picture now? All right. So Hobie 16 hull, you've got the bit that sticks up out of the top, and then onto there goes the casting where the sidebar goes onto, and it just bends up a little bit in the middle, and that's where the mast goes. So there is a bolt that goes through here, and this is actually one of the differences with the new global standard Hobie 16s. They are as standard now. This is going to answer your question, with the inox nuts with the nylock. No longer are the nylon nuts the standard. So the answer is yes, you can use nylock steel nuts on there rather than nylon. There we go. All right, sorry, I just lost where I was. All right, Yorgos says, be my guest in Thessaloniki. Oh, very kind. I don't know if I'm going to be staying though, but I'll let you know. All right, the Ides of March is the 25th and 26th of the month, which would be next weekend. So get down, check out the Facebook page, the Ides of March. That's IDES. And get involved. If you want to go and sail in the event, but you don't have a boat, it is worth just putting it out there saying, I would love to come and sail in the event, but I haven't got a boat. There's a chance that someone might be wanting to get involved, but they don't have someone to sail with. So get involved. Lovely. There's 25 boats signed up already. That is very good indeed. All right. So Miles Ridgway is going to Ritvley. I believe that's the Milnerton Aquatic Club. I used to be a member there, actually. Yes. Very good. Have a good time there. So Eric says, Chris, Ocean Springs, 60 boats, 3 weeks yet. Nice. All right, Alejandro. Welcome to Cancun, Mexico. Anytime. Nice. Yes. So I would very much like to come to Cancun, Mexico. YS Brand D says, I'd love to sail through the winter. Yeah, you've got to be blessed with a positive temperature, I believe, to be able to do that. All right, we've got Ryan on board in Maui. He says, the new start time interfering with my water time. So I'm headed out now. Going to miss today. Okay. I think getting out on the water, you know, with sailing or anything, in fact, if you want to improve, you're always going to improve more spending as much time as you can actually doing it rather than talking about it. Of course, the talking about it is extremely valuable, but it's better to do the talking about it at a time when you can't be doing it. When I really focused on the sailing many years ago, I sailed every single day for a long time. I probably sailed every single day for about 20 years, I should think. And that really made it work nicely. Okay. Eric says, I'll place a t-shirt order for your hard work. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Yes, there are ways that you can support Joyrider TV. If you want a glossary of terms sweatshirt like this one, I think it's very nice. It's my favorite at the moment. Or any of the other styles that I've done. You can't quite see it actually today. Just head over to totaljoyrider.com. There we go. That was an advert. Okay. So we got Max on board from Rosenheim, Germany, but not. He's in Egypt at the moment. Only a Hobie 15 for rent, sadly in very poor condition. Yeah, that is a global issue that a lot of hotels or places around the world that don't really specialize in the sailing, they might have some sort of catamaran on the beach just to make you think you might be in for a great sail, but the condition of the boats is poor. And probably worse still, this happened to me many years ago when I went on holiday to Cuba. In fact, they had a Hobie 16 on the beach. It didn't even have a dolphin striker. What? I know. And there was one day when the wind was blowing, and on that day, they closed their whole water sports center, said it was too dangerous. This is going to happen anywhere that has boats on the beach, but isn't a specialist sailing place. However, while when sailing holidays Greece, we don't open the beach till it's 25 knots. That's not actually true. Beach is open. But place like what we're doing here, we specialize in getting you out on the water in more wind than you would usually feel comfortable sailing in, and make you feel safe in those conditions. That is a unique thing. All right. So Ryan says, I did get my custom shirts and they are fantastic. Very nice. Glad that you like them, Ryan. Yeah, so custom designs are, of course, available. The one I did for Ryan's got the Nacra 500 with the sails you can see in his emoji in the live chat. And we basically replaced the Hobie 16 there for the Nacra 500. Looks very nice indeed. All right, we got Church of Petrol on board. Nice to have you with us. Why can't I find Hobie 18s for sale in my area? Low production numbers in the US. Now, there are a lot fewer Hobie 18s than there are 16s, but in the US, there's more Hobie 18s. I think, having not done any research, but more Hobie 18s in the US than anywhere else. I think you just have to keep asking. Get on Facebook in the Hobiecat sailors groups and keep putting messages out. Is anybody selling a Hobie 18 in my area? That's the thing. All right. Eric says they quit making them in 2004 and the Miracle 20 was only $300 more, which is probably why the Miracle 20 sort of took over from the Hobie 18. Very much so. All right, we got Thomas on board in Germany somewhere. Great to have you with us, Thomas. Royal's with us. Nice to have you with us. Alejandro says, how's the wind year-round in Vasiliki? Yeah, in the winter, there's either no wind at all or there's an onshore wind that comes through for a couple of hours, along with some waves, usually quite stormy conditions. But if you were very keen, you could base yourself in Vasiliki and get out sailing pretty much all the way through. There we go. All right. Thanks very much to Cucks Ollie with the donation. Yes, Cucks Ollie has utilized the super sticker. If you look at the bottom of the live chat, you'll see the one that looks a bit like a dollar bill. And so if you find the information that we're getting today valuable, just click on that and you can effectively get me a drink because it's that time of day. So thanks very much, Cuxolly. Always a pleasure. All right. So Lau says, I watched all of your videos on mast rake. Is there a visual way to set the shrouds to determine the rake required, or do you only work on weather helm, lee helm? My boat weather helms slightly. All right. So hold on a second there. Just scrolling. Yeah, it's okay. So I'm assuming, Lo, that you are sailing a Hobie 16. If you're not, put it in the live chat and I'll change my tune slightly. But right, I've said this before, but the reason we always assume if people don't state what sort of boat they're talking about the Hobie 16, because there's more Hobie 16s in the world than any other type of boat. So it's not a visual thing so much in setting the mast rake, but it's more of a feeling thing that you can do on the beach. So what you want to do, I would always start off with, if this is, our shroud adjuster plate, of course, the bottom one is going to be attached to the boat. I would always start off by putting the shrouds in either hole number 3 if you're lighter. So let's say your combined crew weight is less than 130 kilos. Or if you're heavier, I would put it in number 4 as a starting point. So I would do that to start with. And then once I've done that, I would put the jib up and pull on the rig tension. So with the rig tension, pull it on. We're going to pull it on maximum. So we're going to pull it on, but as tight as we can, but not so tight that you feel that the mast can't rotate. Okay, so that is step 1. What we'll do after that is we've got the mains, we'll have the mainsail up as well and attach the main sheet and then sheet in the main sheet and see if you can pull it so that the blocks, if these are the blocks, if the blocks come all the way together. If the blocks come all the way together quite easily, then what that means is your shrouds are too low down. If when you pull it as hard as you can, you can't get the blocks together, but there's a gap of about yay in between the blocks with the maximum rig tension on, then I would say that is probably a good starting point. So what we're looking for is a starting point with the mast rake. And then once you've got that starting point, you can then go out on the water and feel how it feels with the rudders. So there is a bit of a double-edged method there. But I find with the Hobie 16, it's not an exact science. There is a lot of feel involved because all boats are slightly different. So I hope that that helps. I know it's not a definitive answer. Sorry about that. All right. Thomas says, middle of May, I am visiting Vasiliki Beach. Great stuff. We look forward to it. We will polish the stones for your arrival. All right. Church of Petrol. I'll get on the Facebook groups. Church of Petrol looking for a Hobie 18. Could get a Hobie 16 for my first boat, but I'm 86 kilos and would like to sail with a friend of a similar weight. Yeah, so the Hobie 18 would certainly be a more practical choice. If you know of a Hobie 18 for sale, I'm guessing Church of Petrol is somewhere in the he is in the USA. Then let us know. But get on the Facebook groups; they're very useful. All right, Lau says, I would love to get a custom shirt. How do I go about it with regards to the design? I visited Total Joyrider, but couldn't find South African Rand cost of custom t-shirts. Love to get one. Okay, yeah. Send me an email, as Ryan has said. Yeah, Joe at it's all right. My email is totaljoyrider@icloud.com. That would be the one. Yeah, so if you can email me there, that would be good. My email address is actually in all of the descriptions of the Show Us Your Cat videos, and probably some of the others as well. All right, Toot's on board. Hello, Toot. Great to have you with us. Sorry, we're not actually getting through many questions today, more of a saying hello because there's so many people in today. But I do feel it's important to say hello to everybody who is tuning in. All right, Alejandro says, where in the web can I find the different categories for Hobie 16? Yeah, I don't know exactly what you mean by categories. If you could just let us know what you mean by that. But yeah. All right. So Mark says, Petrol, not sure where you are, but Hobie 18 for sale near Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Toot is asking what colours. Or maybe he's saying what colours when we're talking about the Hobie 16. But anyway, at this point, I'm just going to have a quick drink and we'll take a short commercial break. Thank you very much. All right, so next preloaded question. This comes from Papa Echo 1775. It's a good question. He says, how tight do you recommend the toe straps are? That was pretty much it. It's a very good question. Now, the toe straps, for those of you who don't know, if this is how should we draw this, since I've already, if that's a hole, that's a hole, and this is probably, my word, this is one of the worst drawings I've done. Very sorry about that. So here we've got the trampoline, where the mesh trampoline or vinyl, and then going down the trampoline, you generally have these straps, which are called toe straps, because the point of those is, yes, you can grab hold of them if you need to, but the most normal point of those is to put your toes or your feet under the straps, so that they make you feel more secure. But also, if you want to get your weight outboard slightly, but without going on the trapeze, like if you're sailing a boat with a single trapeze, like a Dart 18, then you'd put a foot under the toe straps so that you can actually hang out of the side of the boat, just working the abdominal area. And that is what the toe straps are for. Now, how tight should they be? Now, I've always thought they should be as tight as possible. But if you've got a boat where the toe straps are kind of separate to the trampoline lacing, always get your trampoline really tight before tightening the toe straps. Now, why would you have them as tight as possible? Now, I would always put them as tight as possible because it means when you put your feet under them, you're going to feel much more secure. Because if it's loose, you're going to fall out of the boat much more than if it's tight. There's also, as well as having them tight, I would say put a twist in the toe strap as well, if it's possible, because what that does by having a twist in it is it means it's much easier to get your foot under it, which I think is very handy. So as tight as possible is the right amount to have them. All right, thanks very much to Church of Petrol. Appreciate all the content and enthusiasm. Yes, I am definitely enthusiastic about this stuff. And thanks very much to Dopey Dave for the donation as well. That is very kind of you. And I'm glad that you feel that what I am doing is a worthwhile cause. So thanks very much to everybody who is getting involved there. So Church of Petrol, for anybody selling a Hobie 18, happens to be in South Carolina, or is going to be in South Carolina. Eric is going to be pulling a 99 set of holes out of the loft and assembling it for sale. Standard Hobie 18 with SX wings, new trampoline, brand new jib from Whirlwind on a trailer. That sounds like a nice boat, actually. If nobody takes that straight away, get me some pictures. I'll put it on Show Us Your Cat as a feature, but also to find it a new owner. Very nice. All right, Ryan says, I thought Ryan was going sailing, but he's still here. Nice to have you with us, Ryan. Did just happen upon a soul cat. Is it worth a restoration? Yeah, I don't see why not. The soul cat looks like a great shape. I've never actually seen one with my own eyes without looking at them on a computer, but I think it looks nice. I think it would be a valuable member of your fleet there, Ryan. All right, Miles says, is it still worth getting an old Hobie 14 from the late 1970s? The one I'm looking at is still in good nick. Can I put it to work straight away? Yes, definitely. So when you're buying an older boat, or any boat, in fact, there's just the main things to look at. And in fact, this comes on a little bit to my next preloaded question, which was from Steve, where he said he's looking at buying a used Hobie 16. It doesn't have a trampoline. It's quite old, $800. Should I go for it? I say yes. Just to follow up that with Steve, Steve's in the USA, and I checked it out, and Salt City Sailing, who are another manufacturer of trampolines and sails, you can get a mesh trampoline from Salt City Sailing for under $300. Wow, that is an absolutely amazing price. And I think if you're getting an older boat, one of the best ways of really making it look a lot newer and a lot fresher, forget the hulls. You could have the hulls so they're covered in moss, green stuff, brown stuff, whatever stuff they're covered in. But if you put a new trampoline on the boat and perhaps some new ropes, then your boat looks so much nicer, so much more comfortable to sail. And it is, I think, for a facelift purpose, new trampoline, great upgrade. Salt City Sailing, $300. That is a steal. But in answer to Miles, is it worth getting an old Hobie 14 from the late 70s? Yes. Let's keep these bad boys going. And the Hobies have always been extremely well built. The thing to look at I would say really is look at if the holes are soft at all. So if you take your hands, put them on the top of the hole, you know, do it every, 50 centimeters or so, and just push down a bit. If the hole moves and it sounds like snow, like that sort of slightly crunching sound, that means that you've got delamination, which, if it's more than just a small section, could mean there's some serious rebuild needed with the hulls. So that would be an avoid sign. So check for delamination on the deck, then do the outside of the hulls, same thing, then do the inside of the hulls, same thing. Next thing I would check is just get someone to lift the boat up or put it on a trolley, look under the hulls and just look at what the state of the keel line is. So basically the bottom of the hulls. See if there's anything pretty dubious there. Has the boat been dragged up the beach a lot? That could be, it would need repairing. It might not even be that expensive. The softness, much more expensive. Next thing to look at, I would say, is the back of the hulls where the rudders attach. Just check the fittings where the rudders attach. Do they move? If they move, that could be a warning sign that the holes where the bolts go have elongated over time. Check that. Have a look at the pylons in the hull. So get your friend or the guy selling the boat to lift one of the hulls on the beach. Now, by doing that, you can see how stiff the boat is. But when he lifts one hull, does the other hull come off the floor, or does it stay on the beach? If it stays on the beach, that's quite a loose boat. But if the looseness doesn't come from where the pylons, if this is our hull pylon, the bit sticking out the top, if the looseness, if there's movement between here and the hull, that is a really bad sign, and you really don't want to touch it, because that is going to be significant rebuilding, which is going to be the cost of that repair. It's going to be more than you pay for the boat. So don't touch it if between there and there there's movement. But the movement would usually be, again, here's our casting like we looked at earlier, which attaches to the beam. If there's movement between here and here, that is perfectly normal. It's going to happen. And then have a look at the sails. If you think the sails look in good shape, then there's no reason why you shouldn't go for it. Can you put it to work straight away? If you're going to be going sailing on a lake, like the Milnerton Aquatic Club, then I would say, yes, you could go get it in the water straight away. But if you're going to be sailing in open sea, unless the person you're buying it off says, I just replaced the rigging last year, unless they say that, then replace the rigging, all of the bits that hold the mast up, because it will probably cost you, what would it be in rand? About, I don't know, 3,000 rand? No, more than that. But what's 3,000 rand? Is that £300? Something like that? Yeah, about that. It will cost about £300. It will cost you £300 to replace your shrouds and your forestay. Less than that, actually. But well worth doing. And the bridle wires as well. The wires coming off. But everything that's holding the mast up, well worth replacing. There we go. Whew, a lot of talking today. All right, so we got Lee on board, driving through Atlanta with the wife. Great to have you with us, Lee, and greetings to your wife. I hope she's enjoying all this information as well. All right, We've got Eloan MP4 watching from southern France. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for tuning in. All right, Thorn G, question. Here we go. Is it a good mindset if I think the mainsail is primarily set by the traveller for the angle of wind attack, and then I reduce the twist by sheeting in while the downhaul is in the opponent player? That is a fine question there, Fawn G. So what I would say is yes, firstly, traveller, angle of attack. So if you combine sailing the catamaran to driving a car, perhaps with in terms of traveller and mainsheet, you could look at your traveller as gears and then your mainsheet as your accelerator pedal or throttle on a motorbike, or so which means the gears you're not going to change as often. So with the traveller, you'll change your traveller setting if there is a general longer period increase or decrease in wind strength, and then with the mainsheet, you're going to respond to what is happening all of the time. So that's for immediate gust response, the mainsheet. But then the traveller would be if the wind is increasing for a longer period of time. Or the traveller also we would change if we're altering our point of sail. So if wind just there, if we are sailing when we're not overpowered, I'm sure this is old information, and we've been sailing upwind and we're not overpowered, so we've got our traveller in the middle on the upwind course, and then we were going to sail on a downwind course here. Then on this course we'd set our traveller most of the way out. So that would be how we're using the traveller there. But yes, the mainsheet is directly affecting the twist in the mainsail. But the third player, as you've mentioned, is the downhaul. And the downhaul we will use as the wind increases. In the lighter winds, we just pull it on to get the creases out of the sail. And then as the wind increases further, so as we're getting overpowered, we pull the downhaul harder. There we go. All right. I hope that helps. I hope that clarifies. I think you already knew the answer, but it's just nice to clarify such things. Eloan MP4. I had a great deal for a Hobie 14 Turbo, very cheap and in good condition, but I couldn't park it, so I wasn't able to buy it. That is quite a shame. Yeah, when boat parking is the reason for not being able to get hold of a boat, that is a sad state of affairs. Need a bigger boat park. Yeah, sorry to hear that. We've got Mr. Tony KP from Denmark. Sorry for being late today. Hope everyone's doing fine. Great to have you on board with us. We've got Scott dropping it in the slot. Great to see you there, Scott. Hope everything's good with you. All right. Toot says, please explain how you hold the tiller and the ropes. All right. I'm not going to be able to draw this. And from my current situation, I can't get up and get some sort of tiller type object. But what I generally do is if I'm sat on the boat, let's say we're going this way, I would have the tiller extension or stick in my back hand, and I would put it over my back shoulder. Very small tiller extension like that. So I'm holding it like that. And that is a very comfortable place to hold the tiller extension. It's just resting there, very nice. And then the main sheet in the front hand, hope everyone can visualize this, by the way. Once I'm back with a boat, we'll do another video on rope management for when you're sat on the boat. Perhaps we haven't focused in on that quite specifically enough. So tiller extension, main sheet, like this. Whenever you're sailing, whatever the situation, always have a hand on the main sheet. The main sheet is your kind of, what would you call it? Your get out of jail free card, your oh my gosh, everything's going wrong. Let the main sheet off. 9 times out of 10, it won't be quite as bad afterwards. So like that. But then you may think, but how do you sheet this in and still hold on to it? Then this is the good technique. With this tiller extension on your shoulder, you can put your arm over the tiller extension so that it's going up there. And then you can actually use 2 hands to sheet in like this, applying a little bit of downward pressure. Then you can still steer by leaning forwards and backwards. And you've always got control of the main sheet. Chris says the main sheet is your safety button. Certainly is. It is the it's the one that's going to stop you from going swimming more than you want to. There we go. So Eloin said, I hope that helps, Toot, by the way. Sorry that you really have to use your imagination in this setting. But there we are. Eloin says, I can still sail on my club's Hobie 16, so it's fine. Great stuff. Glad you're still able to get out on the water. Okay. Back to the preloaded from Alessandro. Alessandro is talking about an FX1 with a self-tacking jib. He'd like to make some upgrades. He bought the rubber grip, very nice. Question number 1, how did we go about with our Hobie Tigers removing the old grip tape? Well, we with the Tigers and the FX1s, I think actually the FX1s were different because on the Tigers there were 2 different styles of grip on the side of the boat. The first style on the earlier boats was actually rubber grip, which if you've got the rubber grip on the side already, but you want to replace it, then you would just need to remove that rubber grip, which you could do. What I would do is using the blade of a Stanley knife. Of course, you need to be careful, but there you can just use that as a bit of a scraper to get in underneath the rubber grip. It doesn't matter too much if you scratch the boat underneath a little bit, because soon enough you are going to be covering that with the rubber anyway. So, and in fact, I would use the Stanley knife blade technique if the side of the boat had the more kind of paper grip on it, which I believe the FX1 might have more so. But if that doesn't work, like on the later Tigers, they I hate to say it, but I think it might have been because it was cheaper to do. But the side of the boat, instead of the rubber grip, had like a painted on non-slip kind of thing where there's like gel coat, but in the gel coat is a bit of texture that's meant to make it grippy and doesn't really make it very grippy. So if you've got that sort of finish on the side of the boat where you want to put the rubber grip, then the best thing to do there is to take some sandpaper and sand it off. If when you sand it off, you think this is taking way too long, then perhaps go to a slightly coarser grade of sandpaper, because again, it's not the end of the world if you scratch your boat a bit, because you're going to be covering it with the rubber. And in fact, by scratching the boat a little bit, it might actually make the adhesion better when you put the rubber on. But then either way, you need, before putting the rubber on, you need to make sure that everything is very, very clean, very dry. So we generally use acetone to clean the hulls before sticking anything on. If we're putting stickers on the hulls, acetone, because that both cleans it and dries as well, because it evaporates, takes the moisture with it. So there we go. That's what I reckon there. Okay, so that was part one of Alessandro's question. Also, is it possible to do a takeaway system for the jib sheet and the downhaul in the front beam? Finally, I would like, okay, so the takeaway system, if you're going to do a takeaway system for the jib sheet, now something I was going to say, you need to, for takeaway is only a, for the downhaul, yes, every time, but this is not for if you're sailing a Hobie 16. This one is for if you're pretty much anything that's not a Hobie 16 that has, if this is the front beam, that has a hollow front beam that you can open the end of. So if it's got an end cap on it and you can take it off, then you can do a takeaway system. Now, if we draw this kind of 3D, I know what you're thinking. Are there no ends to Joe's skills on the whiteboard? Yes, there are. There is an end to it. And I think we might have reached it. So this is the front beam. This is the mast. So a takeaway system basically keeps your lines on the boat tidy. So what we would have is the downhaul on this sort of boat comes from the mast. Let's do this in another color. And then for the downhaul, it's pretty straightforward. We just take that. And what we would need to do is have a hole or two holes, ideally, in the front beam. Or if you have three holes, here's the bonus. You could put, actually on the FX1, if you're sailing it single-handed, this is not relevant, but if you're sailing a double-hander, you can put the cruise trapeze wire elastic through the beam as well. But on elastic going into the beam, and then if we just go inside the beam, so blue is inside the beam, what we will have is a pulley there and a pulley there inside the beam. So we're going inside the beam with the red now. Sorry about that for any confusion. So it would go that way. And this is the elastic part. Round the block, up here, round the block, and then out the other side, and then onto the downhaul there. And basically inside the beam, we would do exactly the same with the jib sheet. But it has just occurred to me that if you don't, so if you've got a self-tacking jib, very straightforward to do the same with the jib sheet. But if you haven't got a self-tacking jib, but for some reason you want to get rid of the jib sheet, there's no reason why you couldn't have two separate sheets and have them go into the beam. But the nice thing, if you've got a regular jib sheet on the boat, a traditional non-self-tacking one, is for the crew, it's really nice to hold on to. And if you make it have a takeaway system, it's not going to be quite as nice to hold on to. that's what we hold. That's what we find with the boats that do have the self-tacking jib. If you're going off on a fast reaching course where you're getting further back on the boat, then the jib sheet going into the beam isn't always where you want it to be. So there we go. And the final part of Alessandro's question is, he's got a spinnaker on the FX1 and would like to have 2 blocks for the spinnaker sheet. So if we draw, here's the trampoline, front beam just here, mast, hull, there's a shroud, there's a shroud. All right, so what I would do on the FX1, if you wanted to put 2 blocks for the spinnaker, Alessandro mentioned, can I drill into the hull, sorry, to put some fair leads where I can mount the blocks, which would be something like one there and one there to attach the blocks to. I would say that is a dangerous game to play, to drill into the hull to put some self-tapping screws in to attach the blocks, because it needs to be properly reinforced on the inside before you can mount any blocks on there. And on the FX1 especially, the hatches, the inspection hatches, aren't big enough to be able to get your hand in and go all the way up there. So I would stick to, on the FX1, the original mounting point for the spinnaker blocks, the first ones, which is to have them attached to the base of the shrouds like that. And then the second blocks, if you want to put a purchase on there, it's a very good idea. It does make it a lot easier. 2 ways that you can do it. There's but the most common way is there's going to be the hole in the corners of the trampoline there, and then you can basically put a line through the hole, and then what we've done is we go through the hole in the trampoline and then tie the line around the dolphin striker, and the other end of the line tied onto the block. Very easy. If you want, there's another method that we've used where we've actually put a tang, a stainless steel fitting, onto the bolt. So these are the bolts that hold the beam onto the hull, and we've actually put a tang onto the fitting there and then attached the block onto the tang. So then what happens is the spinnaker sheet will go to this one, then round that one. That's where you hold it if we're over here. And then from there, it will go to there and then round there and then onto the spinnaker on the other side. So yes, it is possible. And yes, that is how I would do it. There we go. All right. So just finishing off now. No further questions, please, because it's knocking on a bit now here in Greece. But Lowe says, what is a good length for a tiller extension? I feel the standard length is quite long. I shorted mine to 1.2 meters. Yeah, I think the standard length on a 16 is about 220. The idea is it's long enough so that if here we are, long enough so that you can stand on the trapeze and hold it there. But also you can stand on the trapeze up here and still hold it, still hold the end, but also long enough so that if you're sailing downwind, for example, in a light wind, then you can be right up here and still hold it. Yeah, I think it's about 220, but I would have to check that. I'm afraid I don't know for sure, but 220 would be my best guess at this time. All right, Alejandro says, what do you think of the instruments for sailing a Hobie 16 tech aids like in bigger ships? Well, funny you should ask, because one of the guys who's working on the Wildwind Beach this year, he sails a Wasp. That's a foiling boat. He's got quite a sophisticated piece of equipment that he sails with for training purposes. Very useful indeed. It really lets you know. To be honest, I can't tell you what it's called. Can't remember. I can't even remember the specifics of what it does, but it will tell you if you're sailing the boat as efficiently as you should be. And that is what we're striving to do, especially if we want to sail faster. But yeah, I think they're not necessary like they are in bigger boats, because on a small boat like a Hobiecat or a Laser or anything like that, the boat is giving you so much more feedback, so much more information by how it feels and how it's responding. Whereas if you're sailing an 80-foot yacht, for example, you're not going to feel if you're not sailing the boat very efficiently, unless you really know that boat inside out. So they're not as necessary on bigger boats, but I think for training purposes, then very handy. Like I use the GPS quite a lot, of course, for the speed runs, but also when practicing tacking to see what my target speed is sailing upwind, and then timing how long coming out of attack it takes to get back up to that target speed. There we go. So there we are, everybody. I hope you've had a lovely time. Thanks to everybody who's chipped in today using the super stickers. There's still time. Don't forget to hit the like button before you leave. And finally, hello to Dobie, who's just tuned in. Great to have you with us. But also, just thought I'd let you know at this time, I have just launched a crowdfunding page, because this year it is my intention to go to the Tornado World Championships, and it is by going to competitions like that which helps to give me the knowledge that makes me able to pass you on the information. So yes, there is a lot in it for you guys, but the crowdfunding page, it will be in the video description below, which perhaps isn't below at the moment, but it will be as soon as we're finished. So any donations to my Tornado campaign will be very gratefully received, because to go to Italy from Greece is very expensive, and I can't really afford it. So thanks very much in advance to everybody who is getting involved with a bit of chipping in, whether it's with the super stickers, whether it's with the crowdfunding thing, or any other means. Thank you very much. All right, Eduardo has just arrived, who says, what would be a solo sailable small cat that could handle a somewhat harsh swell? That is quite a trick. The solo element makes it quite tricky. What you want with a boat for sailing in swell or waves is you want to have some volume. So you want to have quite big hulls. So if you weren't sailing solo, the boat that really came to mind was the Hobie 18, because the Hobie 18 has got a lot of volume for the size of boat, but it is a powerful boat for single-handed sailing. So what other options have we got for single-handed? It very much depends also on, are you looking for something fairly modern where it's going to be more expensive? Probably for something modern, you're going to be looking around the sort of 10,000 euro or dollars kind of mark. I think actually the NACRA 500 really has got a lot to say on this point. I think it's got a very good volume distribution. So it's, even though it's not the biggest hulls that you'll find, but the distribution of the volume is very good in the NACRA 500. And it's a versatile boat that you can sail single-handed as well as with a friend. Now, what's at the other end of the scale? Hobie 14, very low volume. Yeah, the Hobie 17, says Philip. Thank you for that. Again, fairly low volume, but it's a longer hull than the 14, which perhaps is going to help to have it handle the swell a bit better. This is quite a tricky question. I think what you need to look at is, if you're looking at this in kind of like, I'm looking to buy a boat, look at what boats are available if you're looking secondhand, and then get down to the list of what's available, and then we can look at what is going to be the best of those choices for your situation. There we go. Thanks very much. I hope that helps, Eduardo. Sorry, it's perhaps not the definitive answer that we're looking for, but that is because there is not a definitive answer to that question. Thanks very much, everybody. I'll see you soon with some more. Should have something on Sunday for you. Don't know what it will be. Probably something about assembling a Hobie 16. But thanks very much. Thanks, Eduardo. And thanks, everybody else. And I'll see you soon. Goodbye.